too many people. Didn't know what to do. Definitely here. Yes, that's good.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Welcome, ladies. Good to see you. What holiday just passed? What was it? New Year's, right?
New Year's.
How was it? Everyone had a good time?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, exactly. Happy New Year. Hope it was good. I was surprised this whole time how well everyone was able to come to classes and never kind of like missed one. It looks like we're at a point where it may begin.
It's a hangover.
Hey, it lasts a few days, let me tell you. Depends on how hard you party. It's interesting. I was in bed by like 9.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the night before, I was with some family that came out of town, and we stayed up a little bit. But the following night, I was at my parents' house, and I was with the kids and everything. And I went to go put my son to sleep. I wanted to play video games actually. And so I said, he goes, so he just gotten a system for Christmas from my mom.
Christmas, whatever.
Well, I like to just generally. Well, actually, it is for There you go. Yeah, because we don't know who it's on.
Which is actually why all this happened.
Exactly. So anyway, so he's like, oh, why don't you play with me? I'm like, cool. So I kind of sit next to him and I go, how about you play? And I'm just gonna close my eyes. And then next thing I knew, it was the morning. So, but then I came to find out everyone was out shortly after. So, anyways, that's my story.
You sticking to it?
I am. So tonight is one of the most important lessons. Actually, we used to do it as lesson 8. There was something that we did during number 6 and number 7, but we're moving it ahead because it's a very important lesson. We saw that we need to kind of cut to the chase when we talk about it. There's no besides it. So how was the homework and the emails? Still not getting them?
I got it. I did get the lesson, but I didn't. No, I used my phone.
But you didn't receive a physical email.
But I had to go to YouTube and do the. I think I did get it.
Okay.
But I got the. Seems like I only got the part about the videos, and then I had to use my phone to see what pages to read. Just cut off or something. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we're getting there. Now at least you're seeing half of it.
I got the link. I got a link.
Later we'll see. Hopefully we'll see the whole thing.
At least I got a link this time.
Yeah, see, that's something. That's already a start. Okay, so let's watch a little clip. Remember, we're going to set the intention for the lesson, and then we're going to jump right on into it. You know what's really cool, actually, is this happens all the time. So you guys left last class, and then I stayed after to load the videos, to load the email, to send it. I was uploading the last video. I'm going to send it all kind of 1 through 6 to all of you. And I put on the veteran lesson that happens daily with our teacher. And he was discussing exactly what we were discussing in class, actually exactly the same. And so it's been happening like this with us, with campus and our teacher. That even the advanced students, you see that we go back over everything. It's not like a static thing. We don't just get it once. Because really the point of the lesson is that intention. It's the most important thing, to attract that response. Because today we can read this article, and we will. But particularly, especially this one, you'll see that it was recommended from our teacher to read this article in many different times and in many different states, in order for you to really kind of see how it comes to life and how it adjusts for you. And so we'll talk about the book, a book called Shamati. But for now, let's watch a clip and let's set that intention. It's going to be the intention for this evening.
Why do we always need to go, first of all, to the side of everything appearing bad? I will tell you a secret. Only to you. We are in a wonderful reality. everything is good and benevolent, pleasant, calm, fulfillment. It's truly filled with everything. And you don't feel anything in it. You're disconnected, you don't have any recognition or feeling or anything. Because it's just one thing. And in the one thing, without connection with its opposite, you have no connection to it because you're the created being. How did the creator, which you're within, how can he reveal to you where you are? It's considered to reveal to you himself. Or similarly, to reveal you. How? Only by beginning to awaken in your state some bad things. As against them, you will feel that you're in the good. That's what he does. Otherwise, you will have no feelings. All that is revealed, both the different forms that are opposites, is only to feel more the good.
So, one of the very fundamental principles of Kabbalah is that there is none else besides him. Meaning, there's no one else other than the Creator. There's no other forces at work. There's no bad, there's no good. Even that which appears to us as bad or evil is actually all the Creator. And he's orchestrating everything and doing everything. And I've said it many times during this class, but we actually have an article devoted exclusively to this. And that's the thing, is that we actually see a picture in this world that's not necessarily good. And then lots of times we see forces that also may seem as if it comes from some kind of like evil root. But it turns out that it's actually all him. And he's the one who's orchestrating all of these things. And what we just heard was that the Kabbalist has the ability, or eventually trains himself to have the ability to be able to perceive that there's none else besides him, that even the good and even the bad, he blesses for. And all of it becomes one complete reality. And he begins to actually attain the fact in his perception that everything that is occurring, everything that's taking place is all the Creator. And so we're going to read an article specifically about this. And this is one of the most important articles. And it comes from a book, a very special book, a book called Shamati. But it's in your books. So let's turn to page 189. And this book was the personal notebook from our teacher's teachers. So Rabash's personal notebook. Why is it called Shamati? The word Shamati means I heard. So when Rabash studied with Baal HaSulam, the author of the many articles that are in this book, Baal HaSulam didn't allow anyone to record him or to write anything down. So Rabash would have to hear what his father said, and he would have to go afterwards and write down what he said. And like this, he had his own personal notebook. And every evening before bed, Rabash would open the notebook and he would read from it. And throughout the day, randomly, he would open it and he would read from it. And so it's such a special book because when Rabash was on his deathbed, and Michael Lightman was there at his bedside, he gave him the book and he told him, take it and learn from it. And so after Rabash passed away, our teacher, Rav Michael Lightman, didn't want to keep this only for himself. So he actually published the book exactly as it was written. And so when you see, and you will receive this book at some point, we'll provide it for you. But for now, the article is in the Kabbalah for the Student under the Divinity in Exile. And And what's cool about this article is, like what I was saying, is that at all different times you should read it. In the morning, at night, in the middle of the day, when you're angry, when you're happy, when things make sense, when things don't make sense. Whenever, all the time, if you can, you should go to this article. Because in this article is everything. It's a long article, and we're not going to read the whole thing tonight. But maybe because we don't have everyone, we might. So because maybe the questions will be shorter, let's see, we can maybe get through a little bit more. But I'm telling you, within this article, like, as you're reading it in the different states, today, this part will highlight to you. The next time you read it, another part will come. And you'll see that 6 months from now, you come back to the article, and it's totally different. There's so much depth to it. And that in which you couldn't see before, now you can. And it's, I mean, amazing, amazing article. So let's start. We'll read from it. And like this whole book, Shamati, is just precious. Actually, all the students of Kabbalah, we pretty much carry it around. Because we do like Rabashta. There's a pocket-sized version of this. This is the big one. We have a pocket-sized version. I don't have mine with me, but pretty much we oftentimes, because the intention is so important, we remind each other, what is the intention? Why are we gathering? Okay, let's read. And so we'll flip something open, and we'll read. This is how Rabash would do it. He would take the book, he would randomly open it, and wherever it landed, that's where you would read. And then you'd see that 9 times out of 10, it would land exactly in the right place for the right state in the right moment and in precisely what you're going for. And then our teacher says, and if it doesn't, flip it again. and then you'll see that it'll get there. So let's give it a try. Let's set the intention. I'm going to read something before we get into the article. This is how we do it. I'm telling you. This is how the advanced students do it. Men, women, everybody. All of a sudden we're together, and this is, oh guys, you know, when we're chit-chatting about God knows what, usually very exalted things, but at any moment in time, friends say, guys, let's read an intention. Okay, and they go, shh, and here we go. And it says, afterwards, there is a result, which is the main goal that one should see to. In other words, it's not. This isn't what you're reading.
I was just checking.
Okay, it's nice. All right, here we go. So this is the paragraph. Afterwards, there is a result, which is the main goal that one should see to. In other words, a person should feel delight and pleasure in causing contentment to his Maker. This is the main emphasis of the work, and this is called serve the Lord with gladness. This should be the reward for one's work, to receive delight and pleasure in having been rewarded with delighting the Creator. And then when we're done, we say l'chaim. Why do we say l'chaim? To life, to spiritual life. Let's hope that we understand this, that we really penetrates us. And like this, we hold the intention. So I'm telling you all this because we're about to read one of the top articles, the article, actually. So let's dive in, and I'm gonna kind of go with you, and eventually we'll stop and we'll keep going. But if it's flowing and it's going good, we'll keep going. Okay, so let's see how it goes. And I think Karen's going to kick us off, and we'll go through the article.
It is written, there is none else besides him. This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against him. And what one sees, if you have me read this because all the hymns are in here.
So, also, just so you know, also, when you're reading, it's good to go at a nice pace. And almost like less of you and more of what we're reading, especially when you're reading Zohar. It's almost like a song. You want it to really kind of dance off your lips. So, with a nice life to how we read, bring a little vitality to what we're reading, but also not so much you, more of the reading, and let's do it like this.
Okay. It is written, there is none else besides him. This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against him. And what one sees, that there are things in the world that deny the higher household, the reason is that this is his will.
And it is deemed a correction called the left rejects and the right adopts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. This means that there are things in the world which, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and through them he is rejected from sanctity.
Let's stop right there. So in the first paragraph it says, and what one sees that there are things in the world that deny the higher household. The reason is that this is his will. This is also his will. Okay? And it is deemed a correction called the left rejects and the right abducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. This means that there are things in the world which, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and through them he is rejected from sanctity, meaning that these also come from him, all the obstructions, everything. Because this is the thing, is that when we say there's none else besides him and he's orchestrating everything, we have to attach something else to it as well, which is there's none else besides him, but there's also he is good that does good. Or he is good that doeth good, meaning that the Kabbalist also exists in a perception where he sees that everything that stems from the Creator, all the doings, are actually good, even the things that aim to divert him from the right way. How could this be? How could it be that the bad is also good? And those things that aim to divert me also bring me closer to him. Let's keep reading.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Me and now we'll take your turn, and then you. Oh no, but you wanna. I'm sure you wanna read along with us. So I don't wanna.
Yeah, I don't want to. Well,
And the benefit from the rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him, since he sees that otherwise he is lost. Not only does he not progress in his work, but he sees that he regresses. That is, he lacks the strength to keep Torah and mitzvah, even in low lishma, not for their name. That only by genuinely overcoming all the obstacles above reason can he keep the Torah and the mitzvah. But he does not always have the strength to overcome the above reason. Otherwise, he is forced to deviate, God forbid, from the way of the Creator, even from low lishma.
Low lishma. So there is lishma and there is low lishma. So lishma and low lishma. What is low in Hebrew? No. There's ken, which is yes, and there's lo, which is no. So there's lishma and there's no lishma. Okay? Lishma is for his sake or for her name. Okay? Now it's female. We do things for her sake. Okay? So meaning lo lishma is when I do something or I perform an action and it's not for her name. Okay? Not for her name. But lishma is I'm doing things, obviously, for her name. What are we talking about? What is her in this definition?
second.
Shekhinah, close, good. Actually, very nice. Bina, okay, also. So, okay, so what is her and not for her name or for her name? Remember, Creator is not a person. It's not neither a man or a woman. It's forces. It's forces of bestowal. And according to how we relate to this upper force, which is a bestowing force, a giving force, this is why we call it him, because it's a giving force. It's the attribute of giving. Then we have her, which is the attribute of receiving. But then there's also, within the 10 Sfirot, once you start getting to like to Bina and kind of in the middle of the 10 Sfirot, there's a place where the giver is now, the receiver is now the bestower. And as a result of this, the Malchut acquires a screen, the right intention. And so then let's say the Tiferet, or the upper force, that is the bestower, has the Malchut, and it's bestowing for the Malchut. But as a result of both of them working together, now it becomes her Nukva, or his Nukva, meaning that now they're working together, now it's a she, meaning that now it's a bestowing force, even though it's a receiving force. So then we say, so meaning that even if I can, let's read it. It says, not only does he not progress in his work, but he sees that he regresses. This is in the middle of it. Not only does he see Well, let's start at the beginning. And the benefits from the rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him, since he sees that otherwise he is lost. Okay, so why did the Creator reject him? Because now it creates a need in the person for the Creator. Because if everything is great and wonderful in my life, then what need do I have a Creator? What need do I have for a Creator? So he aims to divert me by sending me special situations that divert me from him his way. And then now I have a need for him. I want him. But then as a result of wanting him, it says not only does he not progress in his work, but he sees that he regresses, that he lacks the strength to keep Torah and mitzvot even in lo lishma, not for her name. So I can't even keep the thought of Torah. I can't keep the right intention. I can't hold on to Creator, not even in lo lishma, not even not for her name. Because this is the thing, is that we would assume at this stage that we're, okay, so if I'm not in lishma, because lishma is like bestowal and giving, then I'm lo lishma, right? At least I'm receiving not for her name. But actually, we're not even doing lo lishma. We're like just receiving for ourselves, okay? Meaning that if you're already in lo lishma, that's already somewhere. You know that there's Creator, and you can't help but receive the pleasure for yourself. You can't help but digress by the ways of the Creator, but at least you're aware of it. At least you know it's happening, and you can't stop it. He's pulling you away, but you keep the thought of the friends, the group, and everything, and you must exit. Okay? That's already a place. Okay? Lo lishma. All right? And then, so that's lo lishma. So he says that he lacks the strength to keep Torah and mitzvot even in lo lishma. So he lacks the strength to even do it in lo lishma, not for her name. That only by genuinely overcoming all the obstacles above reason can he keep the Torah and mitzvot. But he does not always have the strength to overcome above reason. Otherwise, he is forced to deviate, God forbid, from the way of the Creator, even from lo lishma. Okay? So we...
And you told us this before, what's mitzvot?
Mitzvot? Yeah, we did. So there's two things, right? Because we call this, there's two paths, right? There's the path of pain, right? Or the path of Torah and mitzvot. Okay, we're all going to get to the end of correction. End of correction will happen. The created being will merge with Creator. We will be in loving harmony. How we get there is up to us. So what does that mean? Torah and mitzvot. So Torah and mitzvot. What's Torah? Mitzvot. Torah is the light. The light, the love, the internality of the Torah, not the externality. And what's mitzvot? Good deeds. Good deeds, bestowal. Okay? It's not corporeal bestowal, where I go out and I give money to the poor. Good deeds. But rather spiritually. And this is the thing, though, is that I was hearing our teacher recently talk about this, about deeds, and he was saying that that we see that people come to study with us. They come to study Torah and mitzvot, but they can't shed their own thoughts. And they agree to the study for some period of time, but eventually they know better. And what they think should happen is good. So I agree with what the Kabbalists say, good guys, but this is a new generation. We should do innovations in the Torah. We should do it our way, especially because everyone says it, we're Americans, so Americans do it a different way. We have our own adaptations and methods on how we should study this. So do this, and eventually we see that there's people like this. We have groups of people that study with us. But he told us that they fall under this special ruling, which is that their wisdom is greater than their deeds. Their wisdom is greater than their deeds, meaning that their wisdom, what they thought that they were wise and they knew and they could figure everything out, was greater than their deeds. Meaning that at the end of the day, it's a practical wisdom. You have to do the deeds. You have to practice love of others and bestow and do it. And as a result of it, you gain the wisdom. Because there's none wiser than the experienced. It's not just all sitting down in theoretics. And then ultimately he said that it's their destiny to leave because they can't overcome above reason, what we see here. They can't exit that thought of themselves, that they know better. It's like one of those children, smart alecks, So that's why this whole path is the light that reforms, it corrects, and it's good deeds. Spiritual deeds, love thy neighbors as thyself. We acquire the wisdom as a result of the deeds. It's an acting. It's remember, come and see. We'll come to it in a little while. You come, first you do the action, and then you see. But you must do the good deeds. So let's keep that's Torah and mitzvot. So let's keep reading. Yeah.
And he who always feels that he shattered is greater than the whole, meaning that there are many more descents than ascents, and he does not see an end to these states, and he will forever remain outside of holiness, for he sees that it is difficult for him to observe even as little as a pot, unless by overcoming above reason. But he is not always able to overcome, and what will become of him.
Then he comes to the decision that only the Creator himself can help. This causes him to make a heartfelt demand for the Creator to open his eyes and heart, truly bring him nearer to eternal adhesion with the Creator. It thus follows that all rejections he had experienced came from the Creator.
So let's stay on that last paragraph there. This is a huge thing, right? Now it just seems like a paragraph we're just going by, right? But later, in your advanced studies, you'll see that this sentence here, that then he comes to the decision that only the Creator himself can help. This is huge, because this is already a person who is he's already exhausted from his own strengths. He's already attempted to do everything possible in his mind, in his thoughts, in his studies, and in seeking out every single thing, assuming and thinking that by his own hand, that doeth, he can do. That he eventually gets broken to a place where he sees that there's only one resort left, and that's to turn to him. And this is what the Creator wants, is that you turn to him. That you say, I cannot do it with my own strength. I am unable to do it. I need you. And then the requiring of the upper is what creates that vessel, that cleave for his fulfillment. That kind of shattering point, it's the very root of the breaking, where a person, I'm telling you, with all his power, all his efforts, all his strengths, he tries, he does everything he can, all the deeds, he does and does and does and does, but then he comes to a point where he cannot do it himself. And this is huge. And then this causes him to make a heartfelt demand for the Creator to open his eyes and heart and truly bring him nearer to an eternal adhesion with the Creator. And then it says, it thus follows that all the rejections he had experienced came from the Creator. This is like the king who wanted to promote one of his loyal subjects, one of his most beloved subjects. He wanted to promote him into the high rankings, to sit equal with him. But he had to test him. He had to see if his love was really devout. So what did he do? The king hired some people to come and overthrow the castle. So what occurred? The people entered the castle and they began to overthrow it. And they entered the place where the king was sitting, and the loyal servant was there. And he got up and he ran and he began to defend the king against his own life. And when he was overpowered and they were about to destroy him, the infiltrators, the king stopped. He said, stop. He went there. They took off their masks, the people that were infiltrating the castle, and it was the king himself who had fooled him to try to test him, to see if he was loyal and willing and ready to accept all the love that he wanted to give him. And there was a great laughter in the kingdom. And then he promotes him. Shortly after, it occurs again. And they infiltrate the base, and they test him again, and he sees, and he tries, and he defends, and he's willing to kill himself for the king. And again, he takes off the mask, and it's the king himself who's trying to put him through these tests to see if he is worthy of receiving his kingdom. And there's a great laughter and joy in the kingdom when he saw that it was the king himself who had been fleeing him the whole time. And every hardship, everything, it was him. It was him all along. Behind all these people, behind everything, it was him. It's like you, like I'm looking at you, I'm working in this Kabbalistic group, I'm sitting with you, and I'm only seeing bodies and other people, and all of a sudden, one day, you take off your masks, and it's Creator. And I've been sitting with him the whole time. And he's the one who's been doing all these things for me. And then he sees that all the rejections he had experienced from the Creator, when I go and I sit with a friend and he rejects me, I reject him, there's arguments, there's this, there's situations, my car explodes, God forbid, I have this bill that comes, all these things that aim to deviate me from the way. All this stuff, all the rejections that I had experienced came from the Creator. And this is what the Kabbalist aims to do. He actually works in changing his perception to be able to see that there's none else besides him. But what really is the benefit of this? Why does a person need to change his perception to see this? Why? There's people, there's Marilyn, there's Mina. Why do I need to see Creator in anything? What's the point? Why this article? Let's keep reading.
This means that it was not because he was at fault that he did not have the ability to overcome, that he had those rejections. Rather, for those people who truly want to draw near the Creator, and so they will not settle for little, so they will not remain as senseless children, he is therefore given help from above. So he will not be able to say, "Thank you, God, I have Torah and mitzvot and good deeds, and what else do I need?"
And so we see that that it's the Creator that wants to promote him. It's the Creator that wants to develop him. This upper force wants its creatures to adhere to him. I'm speaking in a way as if I'm embodying a person saying he wants. It's a simple force. It's like a magnet that cannot be fulfilled unless the shards of metal are with it. It's like it constantly wants it to join with it. This is the only properties it has, and as a result, it's bestowing, it's giving pleasure to the lower one, and in a way, it says here is therefore given help from above, meaning that all the obstacles, all the things that occurred to him that aimed to divert him, was help from above, and this is something called help made against him. Help made against him. Meaning you're given help from above, but it's in the form of against you. And you feel it as if it's against you, but in reality, it's help. It's help made against you. You hear it all the time. Friends will maybe come in and they'll say, "Man, this thing happened and blah, blah, blah. What's going on? You know, how can I'm having so hard of trouble seeing Creator behind this thing." And what does the friend tell them? It's help made against you. And that's how much he loves you, actually, is that he's doing these things to you. Let's keep reading.
Like when a father spanks his kid.
You got to.
Hearing.
It's the second paragraph. No, it's yeah, sure.
But he, on the other hand,
No. One above it, and only.
and only if that person has a true desire will he receive help from above. And he has constantly shown that he is at fault in the present state. Namely, one has sent thoughts and views that are against the work. This is so he would see that he is not one with the Creator. As much as he overcomes, he always sees how he is farther from holiness than others who feel that they are one with the Creator.
Yeah.
But he, on the other hand, always has complaints and demands, and he cannot justify the Creator's behavior and how he behaves with him. This pains him. Why is he not one with Creator? Finally, he comes to feel that he has no part in holiness whatsoever.
Although he occasionally receives an awakening from above, which momentarily revives him, soon after he falls to a place of baseness. However, this is what causes him to come to realize that only the Creator can help and really bring him closer.
Exactly. In the end, it's really the realization that that a person can't do it alone. He can't. I'm going to fast forward here to a little slide where I have something written. Pretty much, it's the whole thing we were just reading, and it says, "Imagine to yourself that you are in a world in which you attain the Creator behind anything that happens in your life. If everything is coming from the Creator, then why do we say that if I am not for myself, then who will be for me?" Meaning that if we say, okay, Creator's doing everything, and He's the governing force, and there's none else besides Him, and even the bad and even the good, everything is Him. So then where's my room of work? What do I need to do? But at the same time, a person needs to say to himself, if I am not for myself, then who will be? Meaning that we can take that further and say, okay, so if Creator's in control, I will just sit on my couch and do nothing, and He will take care of everything. Surely we understand, there's an article about this, surely we understand that if a person does that, he will die. But eventually what ends up happening is that you see that the person eventually would be compelled to get up and to do it. But at the same time, he must have enough faith in that in which he cannot see, that he knows that even if he were to sit, that Creator would still keep him and would still do something with him. Meaning this, is that a person leaves his house in the morning to go get his fortune for his family, and he says to himself, if I am not for me, then who is? Meaning that I have to go and I have to get. I have to work. I have to go to do business like business is done in this world, which is not for others. And I have to gain and I have to acquire so that I can take back to my house. And then everything that I did when I get home, I look back. And everything that I did, I know that He provided it, He did it, there was none else besides Him, that it was Him who was behind everything and all the actions that I did. Yet when I'm doing it, when I'm out there and I must interact with people and do things and all kinds of stuff, I can't live in this sort of place of faith where it's like, oh, there's none else besides Him. I can. Or can I? Can I manage to add the thought while I'm at my job, while I'm typing, while I'm flicking that guy off that just cut me off? Am I able to add Creator to all of this? This is the role of the Kabbalist. This is the fundamental laws that a Kabbalist lives by. That no matter what happens, the good, the bad, he blesses for both of them. And it's all Kadosh Baruch Hu, blessed be He, everything is Him. He's the one that provided all this. And what is Him or He? These are just sensations of this upper force of goodness that we see that there is a giver, that He is the provider of the abundance, of the goodness that exists. It's the actual perception that a Kabbalist gains of seeing that this is this way. It's not a faith. It's knowing in completeness because his perception has changed. And so I'm telling you, you can find any which way of looking at this in relation to some occurrence, because last time we talked about this. So we try to do something. Something occurs, some guy does something to me, and all of a sudden I think it was that guy that did it. That person. They asked one of the instructors at the beginning and say, okay, so what if I'm in the street and all of a sudden this dog just comes running at me, and he starts biting me. What do I do? Is that not also Creator? It's like, yeah, you kick the dog, and then you say, there's none else besides that. What do you want from me? But people try to go further, and they try to think that maybe there's some message behind it. What is Creator trying to tell me with this dog that just bit my leg? There must be some message here, because He's always speaking to me.
It's not in your pocket.
All He wants is for you to be included in Him. Meaning that He will send. It's like
Wake up calls.
let's see, yeah, but it's even more basic than that, like an analog system where you have some sort of kind of circuitry with Creator on one side, which is the positive. There's like a negative, and you're like this thing in the middle. Okay, And you're actually this kind of connecting force. You're the only one that's actually doing this work. Nobody else in creation is doing this. You're the only one. Because everyone sees the world kind of with dualities. Okay? So much so that they call them idol worshippers. And I will define that for you in a second. But you're that kind of diode in the middle, that kind of receptor, you know, where you have the ability to kind of, whatever is coming into it, positive or good, you have the ability to actually change it and see that it is coming from a particular source, which is him. He's that battery that is doing all of everything that's happening in creation. It's all him. And so we have to come to this realization that no matter what it is, and it's everything, it's not just things that are occurring externally to me, it's my thoughts also. Where are my desires coming from? Where is this information that's flowing in the air, that's entering me? But all of a sudden I want this and I want that, and I have a passion for this and I have a passion for that. Where are all these thoughts coming from? It's all also coming from him. It's all stemming from him. There's none else besides him. Quantum physics is saying it. Everything that's outside of me, I don't know what it is. It's all this force. It's creator. And you're just the observer of what's happening. You're like the guy in the movie. But it's really him. And so it's your job to see that everything is occurring. It's him who's doing it. Because if not, you call yourself an idol worshiper. Because what are you doing? You're both damning that which is coming to you that is painful, that you don't like, and you're worshiping and blessing the good. And you're saying, oh, yes, apple pie, my favorite, a la mode. This must be from Creator because I love it and it tastes so good and so sweet. Rhubarb pie, get that out of here. That's an evil force, and you who brought it to me is also evil. You know? And this is a very basic understanding and example of how what Kabbalists call idol worshippers, meaning that it's not some guy who holds a statue and he's like praying to the rain, or this is not what a Kabbalist calls idol worship. Meaning he's worshiping the pleasure or the pain that's coming to him, and he's saying that those things, those forces, are the idols. Those are the things that actually have power, because he's not attributing it to the Creator. And so the bad that occurs, he begins to call it evil, and he doesn't like it. And the good that comes, he enjoys it, and he loves it, he worships it. Very good, very nice. It filled me up. I enjoy it. And like this, these idol worshippers live in this kind of duality, where and it goes even further. You see in history that they've broken it down to many forces, many different forces, and each one comes to you and gives you different things. But it's us who divide reality in this way. But in all actuality, it's only one force who's providing everything in the form of all those other things. Meaning, he's also the religious person down the corner telling you you're going to go to hell, and and all this. He's everything, actually. He's all of it. He's the religion, the philosophies, all the books, all the confusions, all the stuff that you can go to Barnes and Nobles and get and read about. He wrote all those books, actually. He did all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. Why? Because he put that thought in that person who read something, who now did this, and he figured, oh, if I look at the stars in this way, I can start beginning to analyze things and see that it's this way, that way. Also, all this, everything came from Egypt. Okay? Only why? To aim to divert you, to confuse you wholeheartedly, so that you finally see that where is Creator? I don't see him. He's nowhere. I've read all the books. I've looked at all the stars. I've messed around with all the forces of nature. And I still don't see him. And then if you go, but you don't let down. You continue. You say, no, one more book. Give me another one. Come on. One more star chart. Let's see. Where is he? Where is he? And eventually you get to a point where you see that you need him. You require the thing that you're looking for itself. Of course, you won't get to that very breaking pivotal point unless you're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, because even the efforts happen here. Even after you're already on the path, and a person is already working on the right, and he's working with the light, this is when it occurs. And that's why we read at the beginning that it said that that the left rejects and the right adducts. Okay, what's the left and the right? We don't have a class on this.
It's mercy.
So I'll tell you now what is it.
Okay.
So there's the left line and there's the right line. Okay? The left line is Hasadim. Okay? And the right line is Chokhmah. Okay? Close to what you were saying about mercy and like wisdom, right? Those are like the clear like definitions of Chokhmah and Hasadim. They're lights. Later we talk more about the lights. But really, for basic, like for even the advanced, let's keep it simple for us. We're simple people. We don't have all these complex minds to understand all these complexities of Hasadim, Chokhmah, and all the other systems. So keep it simple. What is it? Left means that I'm constantly drawn towards reception. The left line. Always. I leave this place right now. After this, what am I thinking about? Man, I gotta have a beer right now. You know, this. I'm immediately pulled left all the time. My nature is reception. I cannot escape it, so I'm always pulled to the left line, which is reception, let's say. Okay? Then there's the right line, which is goodness, which is bestowal, love, giving. Okay? Creator is like right line, we're like left line. And so my nature is to go to left line all the time. It's like a car that the alignment is off and the thing always swerves to the left. I can't escape that. So what do? I do more deeds. I do more actions of goodness. I come, I give, I come to class, I learn, I'm working with the light that reformed, and it begins to draw me to the right line. It draws me to the right. Okay? And I aim myself always to the right. It's like I'm turning that wheel, and even though I'm compensating against it now, but again I'm pulled to this thoughts and those thoughts and this wisdom and then those theories, and I'm like pulled left. But I have to steer it back to the right. Till eventually I come to a point where I exist in the middle line. And that's where the Kabbalist lives, which is in the middle line. Meaning, he sees that he is both parts of one thing. Meaning, he is reception, and there is a bestower. And I can't escape my nature, but I do want to be like the bestower. And so I aim myself to live in this middle line. And that's why the spiritual path is not a direct shot. It's more of kind of like a roller coaster, let's put it. And that's why this path, this spiritual path, looks more like this, where it begins smaller, but then it gets bigger and larger as I'm going left and right, as I'm advancing along the spiritual reshimot that are appearing as I'm advancing. And so like this, I'm drawn towards reception. And now my prayer changes, where now I'm like I'm in the ditch, you know. I'm like for myself. I'm like I can't even do it for Lo Lishma. So now my prayer changes in the sense of just give me a little fresh air to breathe. And that's like what I'm requesting is like the mercy. Okay, but then I'm already aimed in the right. Now I have great vitality. I came to class every week. I read my homework. I watched those videos. I called my friends and I spoke about great things to them, and I feel great power. Now I'm like on the right line. I'm feeling that wisdom. The light is feeling different towards me now. And so it's not the light change, the creator change, it's me and how I change. So a person goes and undergoes this process where he's constantly taken away from the thought of creation and he's pulled closer to the thought of creation. And he has to be like that Abraham who shattered the idols. He broke the idols. And he began to see and perceive that there was one creator, one system, one world, one governing force. And with time, the more Torah and mitzvot, light and good deeds that I'm doing, the more I'm able to aim myself towards the right. And the more that I'm able to change my perception to see that he is good, that does good in all situations. No matter what. And so, if he sends me an obstacle which aims to divert me, and I don't come to class next week, does this mean that Creator is my enemy? Does this mean that now I've forsaken him and he's angry at me? No. It was helpmate against me. He sent it specifically for me to give me this thought. This was Sheila's question, by the way. He sent it to me to divert me specifically, to see, do I really want to reveal him? do I really want to discover? How much am I really willing to accept what these Kabbalists are writing? How much do I have to test it and see that it's this way? And he sends this help against me, that I question this, that. But again, the light reforms and it does the correcting work. And eventually you'll see that, that one has the ability to overcome. Like we spoke earlier, some do not. And it's okay. And that's their destiny. But those with who aren't like senseless children, who, you know, lower their heads and who their wisdom is not above their deeds, those are the ones who are admitted into the palace of the king. Okay. I believe we have questions.
One and I forgot it.
I didn't write it down.
I have observation.
Love
I feel
it. Is
that,
there a question mark at the end?
well, you'll put it into one. I feel the kingdom story that you was your metaphor was your anecdote. I felt like it was the same story of Job, or basically the same idea, or the same idea of whichever one it was that was asked to kill his firstborn son.
Never.
Yeah. It's basically the same idea, but so not only a Kabbalah idea, but a Christian idea. And then the other thing is the Buddhists call it surrender. And they also believe if you surrender, then your vessel becomes empty and then you're able to receive. I don't think they talk about multiple pleas, but so it all seems to me to fit in not just as a Kabbalistic belief, but it seems to embody at least pieces of other beliefs too. And I'm just wondering, are you saying this is the only way?
There's a cool lesson.
I guess I didn't.
No, you do have a question. It's a good question, actually. And I'll tell you, there's actually a lesson, I don't know if it's in number 11 or 12. At some point, I got to look at it again, but it talks about the history of the nation of Israel and the Kabbalists. And really, it's after we already know who, when we draw all the vessels, and we already finally figure out who are we and where are we in this whole upper system and our point of creation, that then we discuss what was like our history and all this stuff and what occurred to us historically. And yes, I do mean us, like this part of, we're like a special part of the soul that is performing this correction. And there's things like the first temple and the second temple, which are things from the Torah that to mean that we got to certain levels of connection, historical things. And then also like what happened to Abraham, that after he finally discovered, he broke the idols and he discovered that there was one force, he began to tell everybody about it. And then he actually Nimrod was the king of Babylon at the time. Abraham lived in Babylon. And he went outside the town, he set up a tent, he started to tell everybody about it. And everyone started to discover this upper force. So much so that there was a ton of people, like they formed the nation of Israel. Like everybody was out there, like so many people. So much so that after they departed from there and they left, there was so many people that after, again, we began to kind of aim ourselves more towards this left, where we began to lose the thought of the creator and creation. What did Abraham do? He actually established religions. He actually gave people physical things that would remind them of
Spiritual truth.
Of the actual reality. And so all the religions and all the isms, even in the Far East, Babylon was where humanity lived. There was no one else. There weren't people anywhere else. The Kabbalists tell us that they were all in this one area. All of humanity was like a small village. And then they dispersed and they went everywhere. But they took with them an imprint of this. And so you'll see kind of a lot of things that mirror it, that are this, they're saying the same things that actually survived all these hundreds of years in books. But in reality, I heard our teacher say it again recently, that all of those things are just kind of skewed versions and material versions of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Meaning that, sure, but that's why at the beginning we tell you, don't try not to draw similarities to things, because if you really study all of them, you'll begin to be like, but it's like this, but it's like that, and these guys are saying that, and you can draw all these lines between. But in reality, that won't get you anywhere, because those guys, meaning that they're all, which one do you follow, right? Which one do you do? Is it the Christian one? Is it the Buddhist? Where do I go? And so, in essence, what we see is that it's one's heart shall teach him. Meaning that wherever you're drawn to, that's what you should study. But at the same time, talking about, is this the only way? Reality is kind of like a code. Let's put it like that. Like creator and creation. It's kind of like this like program with all these codes. And what we're discussing here is the internal code of how to hack it and how to kind of discover what's behind the picture that you're perceiving. And so if this guy calls it this, or some other people call it like that, and if you do this, maybe you'll do that, and it doesn't matter. We're the coders. We go to the root. All the fluff around it, that's for you guys to deal with. We're dealing with the source code on how this reality actually operates. And then, but again, it's like any coding language. You have to test it. Is it accurate? I had a long conversation with a guy the other night about coding, and about objectivity with people that he doesn't say a lot about it. That it's impossible for people to be completely objective on things because their programming tells them otherwise. Long story short, what am I trying to say is that test it, see if it's so. But the Kabbalists tell us that this is precisely how it works. That if you manage to aim yourself directly to Him, through others and through this method of Bala Sulam and Ari and the Baal Shem Tov and everybody, that you'll quickly discover that. And so, yes, there's some sort of kind of surrendering that occurs, that you finally agree to kill your beast in a way, not physically, but you're willing to kill your mind and your thoughts and everything you think it is, to accept that in which is. And then that moment is kind of this very cataclysmic event for a Kabbalist, where he finally overcomes the will to receive. And there's so much that goes into it, all kinds of stories. Later we get into it more when it's like really practical work, where it's kind of like a snake that pulls out its head, and you want to cut the head, but it hides again. And then you where am I fighting? And it's like this whole battle that a person undergoes inside of him, of ultimately deprogramming himself and inserting the proper software.
Matrix.
Yeah, and that's why I try to use kind of scientific terms, like computerized terms, things like that. And our teacher, depending on the student, if he understands plumbing, he'll explain it in plumbing terms, because you can relate it in any which way, but ultimately it gets to that point to understand it, test it, and then you'll see if it's so right.
I feel like you're mine.
You're ancient?
No. That you just said about, explaining, you're a plumber, you're going to understand that through the plumber's, mindset. My academic background is law. So the way I was able to understand it was one day, in class, in which, the prosecutor is the state. You pay the state with your taxes. The state is a bigger force. And although the prosecutor seems like the bad guy, like the state attorney, for example, he's not the bad guy. The state is giving him, is conceding him the authority to bring someone that is not doing the right thing, but it's still serving the state and it's still serving the people, although he looks like the bad guy. So definitely, I do believe that all the disciplines will teach us the same thing, depending on your background and your input, how you're going to understand it. So surrender, definitely perfect analogy. But it's not only the only way, but it's inevitable. It's gonna come a point will come in which we will realize it. It's just the way it is.
She's like a lawyer. Everything's much more complicated. That explanation was above my pay grade. Yes.
The lightning flash is the bestowal coming down from
Sorry,
the Creator.
I'm sorry, start from again?
Lightning flash
Yes.
is a bestowal coming down from Creator. What's the name of this thing going up?
Okay, so there is, remember, we kind of talked about it at the beginning when there was the 3-axis model that the creator's up here, we're down here. So there's from above downwards, right? So these books are all written from the end of the receiver, so from below upwards, us going up, right? It's the actual process of getting back up. Because we cannot discuss it from above downwards, right? Because we're not on the level of creators, so we can't describe it that way. The lightning flash actually has another name, which later we'll talk about, which is zivug. Okay, it's like the point where the upper touches the lower. It's like the exact point already after you know, we've acquired a masach, and now light touches that touching where the upper meets the lower, and they feel it. It's kind of like this, like let's say like big lightning flash or like big light that he feels for the first time. It's a zivug. It's the coupling. It's where the lower and the upper finally merge into one. It's the highest spiritual pleasure a person can ever, let's say, experience. And it's similar to, let's say, the highest pleasure that people can feel in this world, which is sex or an orgasm, let's say. But we're talking about a spiritual one, not a physical one, but precisely when that male meets the female, where the receiver and the light, who's the male force, they finally touch for the first time, and there's information that's passed between them. This is the first kind of spiritual coupling, it's called, zivug. But this is later. This is already second semester, like 2 classes from now. But that's the first kind of great sensation of light. But also, it's always induced from below upwards, meaning that the desire must be present. The desire precedes the light.
The female goes to the
Of course. There must be a place for the giving of the light. If the desire is not present, if you don't want it, it won't show up. Let's put it like that. Meaning you have to have the desire. The malchut requires the keter. Okay, why? And there's another one. They say like that the cow wants to feed or wants to give more than the calf wants to suckle. Okay, meaning that the cow wants to give the milk to the baby more than the calf wants to receive the milk. Meaning that the upper is always wanting to give. It's there. It's a constant, unending force. You do the right calculation, right mathematical equation, boom, it's there. It's not like you show up with the desire and he's late. No, he's already been there since the beginning of time, ready for you. You're just the thing that's showing up later. Any more?
Do you have HBO?
Westworld.
You know, I've seen it actually. I've seen it. I got through like, I don't know, 2 seasons or something, and then
It's only,
You didn't like it?
is it? No, it's fine. I got to the end of
is there a second season?
I don't know. I just kept watching them. I don't know if there was 2.
It's only
One.
have 1 season so far.
Is it? I don't
Yeah,
know. I got
yeah.
to the end of the beginning here.
And why is that turtle trying to?
I know. It's like we're missing the gears here. That's a wrap. Okay, so in summary, we're about to watch a clip and take a break. But in summary, what we're seeing here is that a Kabbalist works to add the perception of Creator, meaning he works in the light and in the bestowing, the good deeds and the study, and he constantly is trying to pull himself into an environment that's sustaining the thought of Creator, and that it's keeping him always in this thought. And he uses tools. He uses books. He uses the videos. He uses his friends. He uses, now in today's age, earbuds. You can replay the lesson. You can put music on, we have Kabbalistic music. Whatever the tool, But a person aims to keep himself in the thought of the Creator 23.5 hours a day. Why 23.5? Because you need 30 minutes to digest. They says, because people come to our teacher all the time, and they came to the other Kabbalists, they would say, oh, but this, and I'm suffering with all this, and Creator. And it's like, hey, if you're in these thoughts, you're already like in your vessels of reception, because you're not agreeing to what he's doing to you, so you're already not justifying him, and you're like stuck in yourself, But you're only given 30 minutes a day for that. 30 minutes, you're allowed. That you can, cry and pout all you want.
Otherwise, we would just disappear.
But the rest of the day, 23.5 hours, you devote it to him. I told you guys what our teacher said. They asked him, what were you envious of from his teacher, from Rabash? And he said that he could hold the intention all day long. Like, he was constantly in the intention. He just wouldn't escape it. Imagine what environment you have around you. How do you have to structure yourself and everything in order for you to live like this? Kids screaming, and you see Creator. Your wife throwing something at you, you see Creator. It's like, in all aspects.
And from the quantum physics perspective, I don't know if you remember in one of the lectures, like in summer, that this girl, Lorna, she was saying, like, how can we change the world? How can we be just oblivious of whatever is happening? So if you stay in the intention from the quantum physics perspective,
You're the observer.
you actually change the world
You're
around
there. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's totally possible.
This is intention. It's that it's the quality. What was it? The laws of equivalence of form that we discussed. If I'm constantly in thought of creation, then that's where I'm existing, and that's where I actually equalize. Of course, this is it, and that's why we make great efforts in the advanced groups to have groups that are constantly talking to each other, messaging, discussing in the lessons, with the books, and this. Because we're helping each other. We're that right line. My friends, the books, the teacher, they're that right line. They're the only thing that's going to pull me back. All that other stuff is it's going to keep throwing me out. But look, I can't escape that other stuff. I need to watch Westworld. I need to eat that burger. I need to do whatever. I need to do all that stuff. A Kabbalist lives in both worlds. Okay? But to what extent can I watch this thing and also hold Creator and see everything? And, there's ways, come on, guys, do it. Raphael loves to fish, He goes and he fishes, and every fish that comes up, he sees the face of Creator, it's like... So you have to enjoy also the pleasures of this world. He wants you to enjoy. We're not going to lock ourselves up in some cave and right? There's no besides him all over the walls and just all day stare at it. 23 hours a day. We good? All right, cool. It's like, no, it's a muscle. It's a flexing. It's a doing. It's a spiritual powerlifting. So much so that if the Creator gives you the ability to lift 100 pounds, that you can do it 100 pounds, you were given that by nature. He's not impressed, by the way. But if you can do 110 pounds with a supernatural force, even more so, now you're adding extra effort. Now you're actually doing something towards the trying to call the upper. Let's call it like that. Okay, meaning you have to do above and beyond what you're trying with extra powers. But where do I get the vitality? I can't get it alone. I can't by myself. It's impossible. I'll lose strength. I lose power. I'll just, go in a corner and sleep or something, But that's why I must constantly aim myself to the right, to the books, to the study, to the friends. And then I can come to this. This is what the Kabbalist does. Then he can eventually come to this thought of creation and perceive the whole thing. Okay? Okay.
Joseph from Jerusalem is asking, what does it mean to connect what's happening to the upper? How do we do this? You should read the article which we have called There's None Else Besides Him. I don't know how to answer that. connecting everything to the Creator means that I have no thoughts, desires, meaning mind and heart. I have no decisions in them and between them. I have no actions with what appears to me as the others. There's no reality other than me relating everything to Him, even myself. And I have a point in the heart, and as a result of that, in the mind, from which I can do scrutiny upon the fact that other than this point, everything belongs to Him. And all my work is also to associate that point to Him too. Meaning that part which I have from Him, that point, from which I look at myself and discover all that happens in me, which is from Him, from the Creator. And what I define this, reveal this by giving Him room to clothe in me, meaning in my corrected vessels. So in this, I eventually also return this point to the point in the heart, to adherence. And the whole body, the whole mind and heart are in order to bring this point to adherence.
Okay, let's take a little break.
This is my action. I found this in my house.
Did you? Starfish. Oh, this is awesome.
Star Wars.
I can have it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's for
thank you.
But I don't know where it came from.
No?
I just happened on it, and I said I have to give this to Juan.
See, there's nothing else besides that. It was for me.
You
Thank
must be doing something right.
Ah,
You're
see, I
real
get a
good,
nice
right?
gift from you, of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love it. All right, ladies. See you in 3 minutes or 4, whatever you need.
So he brought us here, or we brought us here?
You made the efforts, though, right?
Yeah.
If people want to just. I'm the only person who needs everything. Oh, you got one?
Marilyn brought you all cookies and.
Yes.
Are you sure this isn't like needles and threads?
I'm not telling you anything. Go and see. Check it out.
No needles and
Right.
threads? So both these, right?
Yeah, either one works.
I just thought you would laugh. It's probably from a box of Cracker Jacks.
Let's see, I'll open one up.
Of course, you're Star Wars fan. You have to say, right?
I have to. Make you want a little bit. It's nice to say little cards. That's one of the guys, both a friend.
Oh, okay. I'm Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan, sure. Nothing like that.
Thanks for Mike, any more?
Some sweet.
Sweet.
That would be good. Thank you,
We should close the door then. What's that? Hang in there.
Do I have time to make tea really quick?
There you go.
Where are you? Did you already say? I'm already Oh, okay.
She's here.
Yeah, right, yeah. Go back out.
So we'll bring it back next week.
Yeah, sure, that works. Rafael, you might say something else. We can talk about it, but.
Just hot water?
I drink this, I get hair on my chest, I need some milk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't, I only have yours.
See, you should get it, yeah. We should trade phone numbers, everybody, so we can,
Yes, that's a good
we
idea.
should start bestowing to one another.
Corporally.
banana chicken from a local.
So that question is that yes, is that question yes,
So you didn't get Santa. What?
So that's a horror.
What is it?
Evil Eye.
Oh, you want to know about it? Okay, just a few more details. Oh, I can talk about it. What? Oh, God. No. It's all him. But yeah, sure, I'll mention it.
Here, I'll bring it. Yeah. We only need
I
to
have
bring
some
three
KY.
over.
He blushed on that one.
Right, that one.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I thought we were talking about the book bag. All right, can you bring your chair up? You ready? Did you get the tea, or he's making it?
We have to wait until the water is poured. Is this workshop time? Should I bring the notebook and the book, or just
No, it's
my
workshop time.
presence?
No, just your presence. I want to mention one thing about Evil Eye. So it's interesting, right? Because you would think it's like, okay, so if it's all him, if it's all creator, then do people have any power? Like, can they cause things to occur? Can they be,
Westworld.
you know?
It's too much.
Can they be like, can they do things? Can they do like evil acts or something like that? And especially like Evil Eye, right? Like, you know, I really have a hate on a person, something like this. I want to cause harm to them, or something bad to them. Or I'm very jealous of what they have. You know, who knows, right? That's why you see people always carrying around all these amulets. But honestly, what the colors tell us is that you don't need to be protected from anything. There's no other forces. It's all creator, right? Of course, we create a lot of our reality, and so we tie things to other things. And it's like, you know, something bad happens. I knew it. It was that woman, that evil woman. She looked at me funny, you know. And it's like, but maybe it could have been for whatever reason, right? And so, so one time they asked the Rav, they said, "Hey, so what about Evil Eye, right? Like, what's the deal with it?" And he says, "Oh, you want to be saved from Evil Eye? You want the special amulet? Just do good deeds." He says, "Just do good. Do good to everyone. Nobody can think bad of you. You won't have any problems ever because you're doing good. So do good deeds, and you'll be good." So that's it. You want to be saved from all maladies?
Creator may get jealous though,
Do good.
and want us back.
Yeah. he is already jealous. He's calling you. He wants you. Okay, so let's start the workshop. Rafa, are you joining? Okay, ladies tonight. Well, all right.
Session is on fire. Only girl.
As it
Right.
used to be outnumbered.
I would be scared if I was you.
It's usually the case. Our young group is man. You'll see. Well, it's mostly women. Let's just put it like that. I was gonna go into about guys and girls, but it's all women pretty much. All right, where is it?
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Give me that. I'm sorry.
Punch it with the pen.
Don't get me.
Oh man, this is weird. All right, here we go. I'll narrate for you. The rules of the round table. Around the table, everyone is equal and very important. No, that was that part. Everyone is equal and very important. We don't reject opinions or negate, but only collaborate. The real solution won't come from knowledge or verbal perfection, but only from our connection. Good luck. All right, yeah, I didn't load it in the player, so I don't know what happened. Everyone is equal, very important. We focus on listening to each other. We speak briefly. We go in a turn around the circle. When it's my turn, I try to add to what everyone is saying. We don't argue, but instead we focus on connecting. Okay, question 1. Kabbalists tell us that there is a single force that acts upon us. This force arranges everything in our lives. It also arranges our lives in such a way that we get confused and we think that there are many forces and causes in the world. Why are things purposely arranged in such a way?
Should I start?
Yep, whoever wants to start.
I think that things are purposely arranged that way so that we always have intention. Because if it wasn't arranged that way with push and pull, we would lose the intention. I mean, if everything was beautiful all the time, we wouldn't have to do anything. We could just sit back and just enjoy it. And that's why I think that. For what it's worth. Your turn. Or your turn, or your turn.
I think that the many forces are really only one force because we're confused still. We haven't got to the point where we figured it all out. We're still at the bottom of the ladder. So we think there are a lot of forces, but I guess as we go up the tree, we'll see the light. The true light.
Well, based off on what you said, if everything's beautiful, we have nothing to do. We are creatures that seem to need purpose, and that does give us purpose. Sometimes more than we want, of course, ways. But,
Politics. Like, it's too sweet, we'll get bored. So we experience some desynchronization, maybe a little bit of both, so it's more dynamic, maybe.
Yes. I don't see it quite in terms of dynamic, but I see it as just grabbing us by the collar and pulling us up. Whether we want to or we don't want to. We all have a spark of God within us. You and you and you. And but in spite of that, we have other things that are pulling. It's always push and pull. So therefore, the only way to get our attention, if we're stuck in the world, he's got to grab us by the collar and pull us up. We have to go too, but I mean, be willing to go. So we've reached that point. Everyone here has come to reach that point that we're willing to seek out the Creator. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I've been through all the comparative religions and all those. That's seeking the thing. Because I've been a seeker since I'm born. I've always been looking for answers. Which I think is what the Creator wants.
I think like we're one person, but we do good and we do bad. Sometimes to people, sometimes in other ways, but we're still one person. So I guess it's the same as Creator. That got that dual side, like we have. Because in our way, we're creators too. That we create children.
when you say we're one person, we're all one person.
We're all one person.
Yeah. Everything is one.
Mm-hmm. But we individually are one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one person,
Okay,
but
that's
I have both good and bad
Okay, so we're
traits.
talking about you, not as a connector,
Well,
as all one.
But both are true.
Yeah.
Both of those things are true. I mean, sometimes I do good, sometimes I don't. Sometimes, I miss the mark.
As we all do at some point.
If there's none else besides him, what is my role? What can I do?
The role is to keep the intention so that you can return to God. I think that's what the purpose is. The creator, pardon me. I use the God word, but it's a habit. The creator. We're all part of the creator, and his spots got shattered, and now he wants them back. Well, he's always wanted them back, but we're just learning that we have a job to return his spark, to be part of him.
My role, what can I do? Try to be the best person I can be and help everyone else try to be the best person they can be by enlightenment. Sharing the light.
Well, I'll go with what can I do? The only thing I know to do is exactly what you say, what I perceive to be the best person I can be. What is my role? He says it's to be part of the soul correction. I don't really know what my role is.
My role is to be that particle and, in his or her way of going back to where we come from. And what I can do is just acknowledge him in every single thing in the world. Just acknowledge him.
Exactly.
Sing praises to his holy name.
But he's a verb, he's not a him. Or her.
Well, him and her. Him
That's
and
still
her.
a noun.
Or
He's a
it.
verb.
We're just conditioned to say him,
Yeah.
but in actuality, it is dual gender.
But I'm still trying to think if it's not a noun, if it's a verb, then I have to say I got him instead of I loved him, or I got her instead of I cherished her. So I am trying to change the whole idea in my mind as it being creator, God, or whatever, being the active verb, which makes it not something controlling us. It's a verb, it's an action. So I'm still wrapping my head around that.
I'm okay with quitting with trying to find the semantic proper way to say it. I'm a freak when it comes to grammar. Like, I always want things to be said properly. But I just think that we as humans don't have the vocabulary to properly
I think you're right. I think
come
that's
with
true.
the right
I
term.
think that's true.
So whatever
That's-
fits.
But you have to, I think, for me, I have to have at least, if we're gonna, we like to name and call things and list things and give things, diagnosis. So it has to be something that resonates in a comfortable area, with whomever, whether it be, whatever, Jehovah, God, or a verb or whatever. So it's not so much semantics, it's about what resonates on the right frequency with me. And then causes me to want to align with that.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I understand.
So what is my role? To find the frequency and align with it. That's what I'm going with.
That's perfect. That's just perfect.
Right? Okay, move on. Next person.
I thought I was next. That's when I did my
I know, I sort of went
and
out
then
of
she's like, and we skip you. I'm sorry, you're too quiet.
But we've all said everything on the subject that I can think of. Eventually, we're all going to have to go back to Creator, because that's where we came from.
we'll have to go home and rethink everything and analyze everything according to what we've learned so
Let's remember the rules of the workshop. Like,
Yeah, we're all over
Well, now
the
we're going
place.
this way. We changed the rotation.
later actually, when you're like really advanced and the group reaches a certain level of connection between them, then our teacher does this. Eventually, you don't have to go in a circle. Now it's whoever feels
Happens naturally.
now is the time to talk, and then it becomes a totally different thing. But
We're playing Uno here.
yeah, but for now, just keep in mind, it should go, if someone speaks, because I know lots of times you want to respond to what they just said, but I just lost my turn. Now I got to wait till it comes all the way back around. And then you see that by the time it gets all the way back around, what they said wasn't important anymore. Now you're on the next thing. And it's like, so that's why you need it for the correction of the situation. So go in a circle, guys. Okay, question 3. Practically, how do we arrange our lives so that in each moment we can attribute everything to there is none else besides him?
Practically, I would say I pray in the morning. I pray before I go to bed. And that keeps me in the intention or meditation during the day. Constantly thinking on that force.
We're going this way now. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Practically. I think probably by striving to do good deeds.
I think it starts by discipline, then it turns into a habit, and then you just keep it.
Say it again.
Starts with discipline,
Yeah, I heard that.
then it becomes a habit,
Okay.
and then you just can't help it. That's the person you
That's
are.
good, yeah. That's good. I agree with you. I find I'm trying to stop praying because if we don't have to pray, because he doesn't hear us anyway, then we have to arrange to treat everybody the way we want to be treated. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to treat everybody, put yourself in everyone's place before you react. Take a minute to think, how would I want to be treated if somebody said that to me or did that to me? And I think that's how we elevate ourselves.
I think Creator does hear our prayers, but what do I know? But anyway, the intention of bestowal instead of reception would keep us, on that track of attributing everything to Creator.
And I think what Sheila said about him not hearing prayers is more thinking of that maybe he's not a personal God as opposed to a force. But I do think that words hold charges, and the charges are part of what will attract a magnet to them or repel a magnet from them. So in that sense, if you want to consider prayer that way, then I think that you can say whatever you say or put out there in a certain way holds a force of itself. And I think also whatever, like you were saying, and I was saying, good deeds, or whatever, that holds a force too. And so it's really rather whether it's a force that attracts or repels.
I really like the idea of praying and him not listening. It's more than like, I would say that although we think we pray from a humble position, just asking for something from our human perception, it's kind of daring. Like, how dare we think that we know better than him? Like, you are praying for a new car. What do you think you are? Why do you think you need a new car? Like, where do you get that idea? And maybe, what Karen was saying, just hold the intention, just be a good person and surrender. And just think, whatever you have, it's probably better than you guys.
Because I know that when we, in Jewish religion, we're both Jewish, when we pray, we're not praying for a car, but we're praying to thank God for everything
Yes.
we have.
Okay.
So that's different.
Okay.
That's exactly.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify
I love
that.
it. No, I love it. That's that's
Yeah, I
that's the
never ask.
concept.
I don't ask for things. I
I
just
never ask for anything.
say thank you for this, thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally
Never.
different.
And maybe that also goes to force,
Yeah.
you know,
Activity.
to the good side.
We hope.
Oh, yeah.
How do we maintain gratitude for all the opportunities the Creator gives us? How can we see all of life as a game with the Creator?
It brings me to mind of God playing chess with Satan. When it's put that way in the question, where he asks God to challenge Job
Okay.
in that respect. And it just made me laugh, that's all, because it just brought that to mind. I just threw it out there.
I maintain gratitude by saying thank you for the opportunities.
Me too.
I don't see life as a game with Creator, however. I see it as a very real thing. If it was a game, I wouldn't bother.
Well, I agree. That's my first thought. Is I would say thank you. I think gratitude is, of course, they're doing scientific studies that show now that living in gratitude changes everything in the world. So really, that's the game. Figuring out the key piece, gratitude right here.
I do see it as a game, probably like some hide and seek type of game. I do agree with Karen about the words having a force in the world. Like it's sound, and sound has a vibration, and it definitely occupies a space in the world. And how do I maintain gratitude? I just watch more sci-fi and see that information can come from any source.
I think I maintain gratitude with the prayers that I do at night before I go to sleep. And I thank him for every single thing I can think of.
Well, tonight I'm going to try to play Monopoly with the Creator.
All right, so what did I take from today's meeting?
Well, there's rules of strategies for Monopoly. So if you're going to play Monopoly with the Creator, then you might want to study the strategies first.
Yeah.
I know that's flippant, but that's all I can do for now. I'll add on as you pass.
Gratitude and surrender.
play the game until you know the rules. So we have to learn the rules, and here's where we learn the rules of the game. And then you can decide whether you want to play or not.
Torah and mitzvot is the practice. Do good deeds. Bring down the light through Torah. And that God is one, so you better say thank you for the bad as well as the good. Creator is one. That's all there is. Okay. Thanks, God.
Do you have anything?
No. Google strategies.
Beautiful. Okay, so Sunday. Today's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 days. We'll be meeting again. But before that, let's do the summary of the lesson. The first rule in spiritual work is to attribute everything, all our thoughts, desires, actions, the good as well as the bad experiences, to one source, the Creator. We can maintain this sensitivity only with the right spiritual environment. Okay? So, the whole article of Shamati, it's what we started, finish it, start from the beginning, go through it, and try it out different ways, different times, okay? Watch the clip of the birds and episodes 8 and 9 of Kabbalah Revealed with Tony, okay? It'll help you. It'll kind of fill that gap of what we used to have for lessons 6 and 7, okay? Which is just a lot of kind of recap, but you'll like it, all right? And then try this exercise this week. Try to attribute everything you're experiencing to the Creator. How long are you able to maintain this sensitivity? What kind of discernments or confusions arise from this? Try that out this week. See what occurs. Okay, so I know that not everyone's here, but I spoke to Pollyanna and Jazz, who are our two kind of resident moms here, to see what time would be best for us to meet on Sunday. And we tried to hold true to everything that everyone was kind of suggesting. So we're figuring that the best time is to do it in the morning, okay, instead of something in the evening, okay? So I know Sunday morning is a great day to sleep in. You know, it's like that day. What, you go to the beach in the mornings? Every Sunday? Generally?
No, I can try.
Not,
Well,
not this coming.
especially
That's freezing.
especially
Yeah.
this time of the year, I may skip it.
Yeah, we'll be some more weeks, you know? It's a total of 14 weeks, so like 2-3 months.
I'll make it.
And it's every other. Okay. So now we have to decide between us. At 11:45, we have people arriving for an event every Sunday. It's called Yeshivat Havanim, the Gathering of the Friends, right? So we have to be done by 11:45. Okay? We need 2 hours. Okay? 10 o'clock to 9:30, too early because you got to drive from far away.
Exactly.
Exactly. So okay, so that's all right. Let's accommodate. Let's accommodate. So let's bump it later. What time you think is best we meet?
My problem is I work midnight shift, so I'm on call as a nurse. So if they call me, I'm going in at 11:45, and I'm getting off at 7, 8 in the morning.
Mhm.
There's no sleep. I'll be coming
Yeah.
then.
Maybe you're looking crazy at it.
No telling what I
Yeah,
might do.
'cause I kind of got the impression we were thinking in the afternoon.
Okay, so that's fine. We can go evening. The only thing is the babysitting service becomes more challenging.
No, it's okay. Laura is.
Look, I know 9 and 6 is not that hard. You know, we'll give them a nice coloring book.
No, she's fine. You know, Laura. As long as she has a book, she'll be fine.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be evening. It could be 4 o'clock. I mean, you know, enough for you to get
Some sleep.
some sleep. And then before you have to go in again, because you go in at 8, you say? You have to go in?
No, I go in at 9:45.
Oh, okay, so you'd have
And I
plenty.
work all night.
Okay, so you would have plenty of
I
time.
usually work like Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, so you would have plenty
So
of
I
time.
have to refuse Sundays now, and
But if you got up at 8 in the morning and we did this at 4, and then you went into your night shift, wouldn't that work? Or 5? Or,
I don't think I get enough sleep to work
Okay.
Sunday. I'll have to give it up
okay.
for the this semester.
Could you get it another day? Like, because you're not losing money.
Well, I'm on call
Yeah.
when someone doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Because I'm as needed, you know.
That's
So-
right, because you have to drive an hour.
Right,
Some
and if
tired,
she can't come, then I can,
Yeah.
because she's my transportation.
Right.
Would later be better for you? Like 6,
I'm
7?
trying to decide whether, usually when I get off, I can't even make it home because I get so tired.
No, you can't come.
Driving an
Of
hour,
course not.
I have to start
It's a
falling
fair.
asleep on the
Right.
way, you know.
Not an option.
So are you closer to Sheila's or?
Yeah, I usually stay at their house.
So that would knock one part of the drive off.
Yeah,
How late do you when do you usually wake up when you're on that shift?
5 hours. I could probably do 4 or 5 hours sleep. I could probably come in and then sleep later.
Okay.
What time do you guys want to do? 3, 4, 5, 6?
All of that. All of that to whatever you like.
12 to 1?
Right.
That bad?
Well, they've got their lunch thing for one day.
We do have a thing, but look, it's horrible analogy, but it's an accurate one. You know, when a new baby comes to the family, you change everything for the new baby. You know, the whole house changes, everything that used to be changes.
Who are you, baby?
Then we have to. We're willing to adjust, so it's okay. I mean, I haven't talked to the group, but look, I mean, how about this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just throw out a number.
Well, I think 12:01, and I'm the same as for me. That my whole day's gone in that way.
Yeah, ours.
By the time
yeah, I
we
think
get,
so, too.
by the time I drive here and then do it and then back, the whole day's gone. So like, you know, earlier obviously won't work. So if you could even do it 5, 3, or 4, and then get a couple hours sleep, would that be asking too much, or is that not good enough?
Well, maybe 3 will work, because then I might have like an hour to sleep before I have to go to work if I work on Sunday.
But you could sleep in later on from the Saturday shifts, then you could sleep till 1 or 2. You came here at 3 and you were 8 shift. Would that work?
Probably.
And then at least the mornings, if you want to go to the beach, you would have the mornings to go to the beach or whatever.
I'll make it work.
So 3,
3?
3 to 5.
Yeah.
I like it.
How about the other review?
Oh, they're fine. The meal is what time? It starts at 12:30, runs to like 2 something. We'll be fine.
Okay.
You might catch you'll catch the lingerers probably. So you'll see the kids leaving with the moms probably, and those that are staying talking, you know. And then maybe the room might be funny. We'll have to rearrange it. What about you, Rafa? I haven't asked you.
I should be okay.
Okay. I know we accommodate, like, you know, yeah.
So what is that exact date?
This Sunday,
This,
in 4 days.
okay.
This is
I was planning on having a little break.
This is class number 6. If we break, we won't see half of you the following week. Time really does a lot of stuff. I'm already worried about these guys. We need you.
Now, the young Jose had work issues, right?
Well, he wrote to me. His mother had to go to the airport. He had to drive her. Alfredo is overseas. What's his name? The Jose Ortiz wrote to me also that his sister is coming into town, so he had to like meet her or something like that. So he was kind of out of commission, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But it's funny. Like there's a clip that you should see from our teacher. He says, if I could work with only women, it would be so much easier. He says, because women are so dedicated, so consistent. You know, they're like, you know, very, you know, easy. You know, they say it, they do it. You know, it's like with men, we're like this like moving force that's like everywhere. So you'll notice that this will likely be the trend for the rest of class. God forbid it's this way. Let's hope it's better. But every semester, it's always like this. So the ladies are like your rocks in the group. So. Okay, so I'll look to you gals to make sure that you keep the attention and everything's strong, and that we have a nice group here by the end of it.
And don't worry about the room. You know, you said that it may be kind of funny or whatever.
No, there might be food on the floor or something. So
Oh, Don't
You're
worry
the
about
kids.
it. Don't worry about it.
And we can experiment
We don't
there.
come
If that
to see
doesn't
your
work
house.
for you, then we can be a little more flexible. All right, 3 o'clock Sunday.
yeah.
Have to look at
They
the
do have to go back
Oh.
to campus and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
register for the
Okay.
second.
Look,
so-
it's right here.
Yeah, we know.
I have it here. Actually, if you go to the website, the campus website.
You can scroll, you'll scroll and you'll find the second.
So look, if you're all the way at the top, you come. It's campus.kabbalah.info, right? This is like semester 1. You guys already did that. You're just finishing it now. You just keep going down, and this is the fundamentals. That's what you just completed. Then you're going to go to semester 2. Okay, and here's the button, register for semester 2, okay? It's at the same Orlando campus. Just register for semester 2. It's going to come up, and it's the same story. Your name, fill it in, and done, okay? And that's how you can do it online.
Because Sunday would be the first class for semester 2.
Yeah, it'd be class 7, which is it's campus B, lesson 1, right? But it's our class 7.
Okay.
Yeah, total of 20, or no, 30, 20.
And after that,
After that,
we
you
get wings.
You get wings and you fly away to the creator.
Not ready.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, there's a process after that called Young Group, which is it's like that's where our last campus is at now. You start Young Group, it's super practical. It's like it's this book, the Red Book, the Social Writing, and the whole thing is like directly how do I love others, work with others, reveal creator. It's like super practical. Believe me, we're filling you with like all the theoretics at this point because you have to have these images of the upper world, the sfirot, how everything works. Later, it becomes so much more practical. We don't sit around and talk about the malchut and the this and the that and the upper system, the partsufim of Abba and Ima and Av Sag Ma'abon, none of that stuff. We just that's for class. That's for like our teacher. He teaches us. We draw the light that reforms. We all grow. But it is very practical work on how to implement the rule of loving others. Okay. All right. So do the homework. I will see you on Sunday. Okay. And I will send you the recordings of lessons 2 through 5, 2 through 6. I keep saying I'm gonna do it every week, and then
This Sunday.
this Sunday in 4 days, ladies.
My
All right.
goodness. We're moving along.
We're moving forward.
You're moving
We've gone
along.
through 6 weeks, so good work, everyone. You survived it. That's a good sign that you're still here. So you've overcome all the obstacles. So
Hey, these two, I'm not afraid of this.
right?
People really drop out this fast.
Well, 90. It's really 1,000 into a room, but 1 walks into the 1.
I just cut my finger.
Did you?
I didn't do that.
What's the paper cut?
Paper cut.
Yeah,
That's
paper
the
cuts from
revenge.
the book.
The revenge of the tree.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, getting hurt.
For me, like, I work a lot. This is like the only
That was
time.
for my
For
day
me,
place.
it's fun. For me, it's expensive.
The creator
What
got
I
it.
like. It's the only thing I get myself. That,
Oh, what's this?
Are you an attorney or are you?
oh, yeah. No. My degree is from my country.
Wow.
So I
That's
have
good.
work here.
Yeah.
I used to be an assistant for a couple of years here. But what is your country?
There's no smiles.
When I started law, I
We're never
worked
all
in
of
the
you
same
saying
public system. We, and I did like international law.
But I'm a nurse, so I
I
don't know.
diplomat in international